Have you ever wondered what the very first story in human history was? I mean, think about it. Long before the pyramids of Egypt, before the Greek philosophers, even before written history as we know it, there was a story told and retold. It's a tale about a king, a man who was two-thirds God and one-third human, who set out on the ultimate quest to find the secret of immortality. His name was Gilgamesh, and this is his epic story. Our journey begins over 4,000 years ago in the magnificent city of Uruk, nestled in ancient Mesopotamia, what we now call Iraq. Uruk was a thriving city, and its king Gilgamesh was a figure of immense power. He was strong, handsome, fearless, but he was also a tyrant. He ruled his people with an iron fist, taking what he wanted and doing as he pleased. His arrogance was so great that the people of Uruk cried out to the gods for help. The gods heard their prayers and decided it was time to teach this mighty king a lesson in humility. To do this, they created a man who would be his equal. His name was Enkidu. Unlike the sophisticated Gilgamesh, Enkidu was a wild man, raised by animals in the wilderness. He was covered in hair, ran with gazelles, and drank from the same watering holes as the beasts of the field. He was the raw, untamed force of nature, created to be a rival strong enough to challenge the king himself. When news of this wild man reached Uruk, Gilgamesh knew he had to confront him. The inevitable clash between the king of the city and the man of the wild was legendary. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu finally met in the streets of Uruk, they fought with the force of thunder and lightning. The ground shook, buildings trembled. But in the midst of their epic struggle, something completely unexpected happened. Instead of destroying each other, they found a mutual respect. Their strength was perfectly matched, and in that balance, a powerful bond was forged. They didn't just stop fighting. They became the best of friends, inseparable brothers. Together, they were an unstoppable force. They embarked on incredible adventures that would be sung about for centuries. Their first great quest was to journey to the cedar forest to confront the monstrous guardian. Humbaba was a terrifying beast whose roar was like a flood and whose breath was fire. But together, Gilgamesh and Enkidu defeated the monster, securing fame and glory. Their adventures didn't stop there. When the goddess Ishtar, captivated by Gilgamesh's beauty, proposed to him and he rejected her, she flew into a rage. In her fury, she unleashed the Bull of Heaven to destroy Uruk. But once again, the two friends stood together and killed the divine beast. They were heroes, legends in their own time. But their victories came at a steep price. The gods were furious. By killing Humbaba and the Bull of Heaven, Gilgamesh and Enkidu had overstepped their bounds. They had defied the gods, and there had to be consequences. The divine council met and decreed that one of them must die. The choice fell upon Enkidu. A terrible illness struck him down, and Gilgamesh, the mighty king, could do nothing but watch helplessly as his closest friend, his other half, slipped away. The death of Enkidu shattered him. For the first time, Gilgamesh was confronted with the brutal reality of mortality. He looked at his friend as still body and was struck by a terrifying thought. Is this what awaits me too? Will I also die and turn to clay? This fear, this profound grief, set him on a new and desperate journey, a quest to find the secret to eternal life. Driven by his terror of death, Gilgamesh left his kingdom behind. He wandered through vast deserts, crossed treacherous mountains, and weathered violent storms. He was no longer a proud king, but a lonely, grieving traveler searching for the one man who was said to have achieved immortality, Utnapishtim. His journey was long and agonizing, a true test of his endurance and will. He faced monstrous scorpion men guarding a pass through the mountains and navigated a tunnel of complete darkness. He even crossed the waters of death, a feat no mortal had ever accomplished before. Finally, after all his trials, Gilgamesh arrived at a remote shore and met Utnapishtim, the faraway. Gilgamesh poured out his story, his grief, and his desperate plea for eternal life. Utnapishtim listened patiently and then shared his own tale. He was the survivor of a great flood sent by the gods to wipe out humanity, a story that sounds remarkably similar to the tale of Noah's Ark. The gods had granted him and his wife immortality as a reward, but he told Gilgamesh the hard truth: immortality is a gift for the gods, not for mortals. There is no permanence in this world. However, Utnapishtim offered Gilgamesh a chance. He challenged him to stay awake for 6 days and 7 nights, but the exhausted Gilgamesh immediately fell into a deep sleep. As a final gesture, Utnapishtim told him of a magical plant at the bottom of the sea that could restore youth. Gilgamesh, determined, tied stones to his feet, sank to the ocean floor, and found the plant. He was ecstatic. He wouldn't live forever, but he could be young again. On his journey home, however, he stopped to bathe in a cool spring. While he was bathing, a snake crept up, ate the plant, and shed its skin, reborn. In that moment, Gilgamesh lost his only chance. He finally understood. He returned home to his city of Uruk, empty-handed, but with a newfound wisdom. He realized that immortality isn't about living forever. He walked along the great walls he had built, looked at the temples and the gardens, and understood that his legacy was not in defying death, but in the life he lived and what he built for his people. He had his story inscribed on clay tablets, ensuring it would outlast him. 4,000 years later, we are still telling his story. We still remember the name Gilgamesh. And maybe that's the real secret of immortality. Thanks for joining us on this journey back to the dawn of storytelling. If you loved this ancient legend, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.